Oh, hello, my fellow chess enthusiasts. We are back at it again with another educational and epic day of chess. We're going to do 10 plus 5 because you know what? I'm tired of losing on time and winning positions. That's the truth. So, 5 seconds. I want to play a rated game because I need that elo because I'm going to reach 2,000 at some point. And oh boy. First, we're going to start with e4. Then we're going to check this dude's profile. He's terrible at bullet. He's terrible at blitz. He's okay at rapid. So, I hate this opening. I hate this opening. He takes back, and then I throw a pawn forward, applying pressure to the center immediately. And that is about where my opening knowledge stops. But you know what? We can still rock with the basic chess principles of pin the knight to the queen. You know what I mean? I guess we're just going to bring out another knight. It can never be a bad move. You want to first develop the knights before the bishop, but I know I developed this bishop to pin the knight a little bit earlier on. It's not the end of the world. And so hopefully what we can get is a little bring this guy out, castle this opposite side. Hopefully he castles king side, and then we are going to throw the h-pawn in his face. So my worry in the position is scooting back basically to any square is probably okay. This move is probably preferable, but what I'm worried about is this. So I really hope he doesn't try and do this little double pawn advancement, because if he does, he's probably going to try and castle this way. It's hard to say. Something else that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to spend more than like 1 minute, even in the critical moment, because I realize in some of my games I spend way too long. Like one time I spent one of the last games, I spent 4 minutes out of a 10-minute game. I spent 40% of my time literally. I guess I could have sacrificed there and that would have been interesting. Okay, so he still is going to go this way. I quite like that. I think we're going to go here so that my queen still sees this pawn, because he could potentially push forward and then remove my knight of the defense of this. So I want my queen to still see that pawn. And pretty much my game plan is move the queen, and castle the opposite direction, whichever side he chooses to castle. And what he has in his position right now is a horrible pawn structure, essentially on both sides. Like his king is not going to be super safe over here, at least until he scoots it over. And the king is definitely not safe on this side. So I really, really, really want him to castle this way, because then the immediate h4 is just going to, like, we're going to push h5. Then I jump into the middle. So, like I said, I still want him to castle. So I am going to just probably scoot my queen up. I mean, he can jump into position and hit me, but I can just exterminate that fella right on the dot. What you always got to be a little bit careful of is the enemy's moves into your position. That's kind of what you need to calculate first. So I need to be aware of things like this, all of those moves. I need to be aware of this knight immediately coming here, and then I need to be aware of this queen coming here to attack. I know that that's still on his side of the board, but the queen is doing some stuff. So you generally want to look. That just can't be a good move. Just can't be a good move. Why? It's hard for me to say. He hasn't castled. Which side is he going to castle? Is he just not going to castle? That's also an option. So let's take stock of some of my moves. My queen is defending this pawn right now. If I castle this way, I mean, potentially that's a mistake. But if I castle this way, potentially also that's a mistake, because this is coming. So we're going to make a move exactly at 8:41 to keep the time. I can give this check. If he jumps in, I take, jump in, take, my bishop gets in. I like that. I can also just immediately jump in with my knight. But then he jumps forward and attacks my queen. I take, get him out of here. So it's hard to say which one's better. I feel like the knight is a little bit less committal. And what it does is it at least immediately applies pressure here. So which move is better? Even like a sacrifice is something I should do. We're going with the knight. We might see this, but something important is to just try and I probably spent more time than was necessary on that move, but I felt like it was probably an important move to spend a little bit of consideration on. Because just scooting my queen into the middle of the board, giving up the defense, again, that is a weird move. That is just a straight up weird move. But not horrible. I want to castle. Like, what should I do? Should I just castle, bring a rook here, do something like this, and if he takes, I get a discovery? What should I do? I kind of like the idea of pushing forward here as well, but he might just make me do that. Okay, we're not gonna lose my time advantage. We're gonna station my bishop squarely looking at his bishop. My knight is nice and defended. This knight can't immediately jump in. This pawn is definitely defended by 2 things, so I'm probably never gonna win that pawn. He does capture. And I mean, we're gonna take with the queen. It's about time you castle, bro. How about you just go ahead and castle? If you don't, bro, if you don't castle, I mean, like, that's no fun. Here, here, here. He blocks. I mean, if I take, it just kind of fixes his pawns. Not that his pawns are ruined or anything. But you know what? I am sick and tired of this nonsense. I'm castling. One of us is going to castle. And it's going to be me. I was really kind of just holding off because I wanted to opposite side castle. But you don't always get what you wish for. Was that the right side to castle to? I mean, he can scoot up and also match me. Something that I do that he might be thinking is I would be considered a higher rated opponent because we have a 100-point difference, 100 elo difference. And something that I try and do when I'm facing higher rated opponents is castle same side because the attacking and calculation is generally going to favor them. Okay. We officially have opposite side castled. How do I make use of that? I want this H file open. If he just pushes forward, maybe I just try and break it open again. Let's do it without too much thinking immediately, because he has A5, which might be a reasonable move. Taking might even not be all that bad for him. And we want to keep the queens on the board as well, because if you trade off the queens, you are trading off 9 points of golden attacking material. And so I don't want to trade the queens, basically, even if it's favorable for me, because I'm going to try and get some sort of attacking game going on. And I feel like I've been playing reasonably quickly, and we still have the same amount of time. Or not reasonably quickly. I feel like I've taken my time. I've played not quickly. So let's see. And I'm wearing a tank top. Please forgive me. I can bring my pawn. I mean, this attacks my queen. I have to take back. I basically have to take back. If he jumps in, he's threatening this fork. So if I do take, he probably jumps in. So if I take, and then he jumps in, maybe I just scoot my rook over to defend that. I think we're going to do it. And still, if he comes here, we're covered. This is, I'm so okay with. Like, even just trying to open up the position. And then if we trade these bishops, then we're going to be in an opposite side castle game where his squares over here are going to be a little bit soft. So I kind of just want to push forward. And then if he pushes forward, I'm just going to take. And if he takes with this, I take here, allow this, slide over with check. Wait a minute, let's calculate this. Let's not lose on time. I think I'm pushing this pawn regardless. So if he takes, I think I'm cool with it. It just opens up the G file. And I'm basically, I might even try and sacrifice for this pawn. But it would be cool to get rid of these dark square bishops, because this dark square bishop is going to defend all of these dark squares by the king. And I don't have a light square bishop. Okay. We take. Immediate thought, we take. He takes back. We take here. He hits us with this fork. I hit him with a check. Is that a check? Because my bishop is still there. Take here. Take. He comes in. I go here. And he can't take it. He won't be able to take my rook, because if I scoot my bishop back, it's check. He'll scoot in the corner, and then it's checkmate. if you're able to follow all of that. And if he doesn't take this pawn, oh, he can take with the queen. See, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm just bad at chess. I almost said you're bad at chess. Sometimes I'm just simply bad at chess. This is hanging, but I think I want to just slide in here and go ahead and take any of my pawns, bro. I think we play this. I feel like my king is decently safe. Look at all of the pieces on his king. And look at all the pieces on my king. My king is quite happy. Even if this pawn push comes. Is it the end of the world? This is being attacked twice. So he basically has to do something about that. And what would I suggest? I mean, he can jump back, but then I can take. He'll probably take with the queen. We might just launch this pawn because he can't really ever take it. Because then I just hit him with this little thing. We're just Ahmed 380. We have been taking the exact same amount of time. You are my bro, and we get 5 minutes. So when you get into these end games, they can get a little less hectic than 3+2. That's for sure. And I do play a lot of just 0+1 in my shorts. If you want to see a lot of like fast chess, like check out some of my shorts. None of them are very accurate, but they are definitely entertaining. What are you doing about this, bro? What would I do? What would Jesus do? What would Elon Musk do? Probably just bringing the queen back seems to make sense. Then I push. Then you take. Then I take. Then you take. Then I launch in again. Not sure. I'm not convinced that's the best. If not, I'm ready to just bring my rook. Ready to just bring my rook over here. And I almost don't care about your knight arriving here anymore. Because I want to just like figure out a way to bring my knight. We've got a couple different courses of action. Okay, so he does step back. In between move, we attack the queen. If we see this, I feel like this is just a great move right here. If I take here, if he takes with the king, I mean, I don't have a check of great value. I kind of like stationing my rook here first, because this is still kind of an option. So here, let's do it. Here. Ooh, this. If I take, he can take this with check. And that's no fun for anybody. So here, here. Then I slide over here. I don't want to trade off too many pieces. And my knight doesn't have the easiest route to like participate in this game. But I think going here and him attacking, it's not going to work out beautifully for me. Pushing this pawn forward, I think we have to do this. We're going to check with the computer. I feel like maybe just forcing something like this would have been the correct idea, but I just don't know. I just don't know. Okay, so he takes with the king. This pawn is still hanging. So, I mean, I don't hate the idea of just pushing it. Then this becomes an idea supported by the pawn. His king is a little bit fragile. And I really just want to push, push. We do this. Where's he even going to go? We go for this. The queen cannot infiltrate. I'm covering that square. He cannot take the pawn. He's not coming to my side of the board, that's for sure. So this seems to make a lot of sense. Then this becomes a little bit weak when I do double. We're going for it. Okay, so he goes for the queen trade. Absolutely, I do not want that to happen. I feel just like, doesn't that make a lot of sense? Doesn't that move just make a lot of sense? My knight is actually doing a pretty good job of defending some stuff. So we're sliding in, still defended. We have ideas of like tripling up and making some stuff happen. Also still pushing these pawns is an option. Attacking here, I don't know how terrified of it I am. But now I kind of should be a little bit worried. A little bit worried about like him just doubling. Then he's just got boom, boom, check, here, defend, and then all of a sudden it's like a completely even game where we're both attacking. But his queen now officially can't leave the guard of this pawn. So ideas like this make some sense. Ooh, that also does kind of pin the queen. Something else in this position. Sometimes you just stare at a position long enough. Okay, so he takes that idea away. I think this will just be completely defended by this. I think I can push. And if you take, I mean, I just take here. So we can't really take. Something like this might make sense. Maintain defense of this pawn. But once I open this up, once I open that up, you are in a world of trouble because your king is a little bit naked. Okay. I mean, we take. Then his rook gets involved. Ooh. We take, the rook gets involved. We pin the queen. So also this is removing the defender of pinning the queen. So if I take this, if he takes with the queen, I give in a little cheeky check first. Or there's this. So I think just taking makes sense. He takes with the queen. Yes. But I have this check first. Where your options would be here or here. Both of which will be followed by this check. Then your options would be defend with the queen and I take the queen, or scoot over here. What did I just calculate? Okay, I think we just take here. Oh! It's defended by the queen. Oh dear Lord. Oh dear Lord. Mistakes have been made. This is the next move. I can maybe... Oof. Grr. I hate chess so much. Why did I do that? My calculations are terrible. I go over here. This is the next idea. Pin the queen. Now I'm just down a rook. And there is no saving me. No saving me. I mean, even if he hangs this, then it's an equal game, and he's going to win that pawn. So even if I get this move, check, check, boom. Check. We attack the queen. He just defends. And then we'll be attacking this. Oh, I threw it away. I threw it. Big blunder. And now, I mean, the king is naked. This rook is not activated yet. He could basically just scoot forward, and then all of a sudden, I'm checkmated just like in 10 moves. Oof. But in this position, we take a deep breath. I realize maybe I'm a little bit bright. Let's cover this light. How is that? Is that better on the viewer's eyeballs? Not a fucking... Oops, I swore. Not a white guy's face. Super incredibly white. And I'm not even winning on time. We need to pray that his bullet skills are not that great. That is what we are going for here. That's all that... That's the only saving grace that we have. That's a fancy move. If I attack here, you go here with check. I step back. You have no checks. But can he still castle, bro? No, the king definitely made a lot of moves. What am I talking about? This... My knight has no forward momentum at all. What about this? In between move. Now my rook is not under attack. Your rook is still under attack. And that seems to make a lot of sense. But then I hit you with a check. And I essentially trade my knight. I mean, we got to do it, right? We absolutely got to do it. There's no other move. This is a nice fork if he doesn't see it, but we get this. We get in with another check, and he was trying to be a little overtly fancy, but he has to take. Then I take. What are his options? If he scoots this way, I can sort of pin a little bit. Something like this. I do have these back rank ideas lurking in the position. So he comes in with check. And yes, he is just going to win this. I can step back. Bro is blundering it away. I can step back with check. Defend the knight with my queen. My king is defending my knight. Dude, why is he trying to get so fancy out here? We slide in with check. 59 seconds. Am I winning if I trade? I think it's completely even. Let's just give this check. Okay. We want my knight here. Potentially this makes sense. I maybe should have just traded the queens. Now things are going to get a little bit complicated. But again, we're really rooting on the fact that maybe he's not that great at bullet. We push this and just greatly weaken my king. Something like this would make a lot of sense. And then just get in. I think we're going to just defend like that. He could just push. Hard to say who that really benefits. If he pushes, if I take here, he pushes here, I take here. His rook gets involved. I could just step forward. He hits me with this check. Things are going to get complicated. Make no mistake about it. Please don't let me blunder. This is going to make an exceptional video. So he wants to trade the rooks. We're going to do it for the sake of just simplifying the position a tad little bit. I think we just take one step closer. I'm not sure what to do. Completely even. One of us is going to blunder. And I've got 27 seconds, so it very well could be me. This check, I mean, I just stepped forward. For some reason, I thought the check was on this square and my knight was defending it, but it's absolutely not. We want my knight in one of these squares. So he gives me the check. I mean, like straight up, I have to scoot forward. He can't give me this check. He could go ahead and pin me. I mean, his knight can't get forward either. Would love to give this check. If his knight moves, I give that check in a heartbeat. And we just like rattle off some checks real quick would be the idea. This whole diagonal. Okay, so he wants to scoot around. I think I'm just going to make a move. Okay. Reasonable. just move to a defended square. We're going to just try and keep this game going. Okay. Now he wants to go here. Makes a lot of sense. Step forward again. He can't really do it. He goes for it. I'm going to take. If he takes with the queen, I think I win the endgame. If he takes with the pawn, then I have to do operation take the pawn with he has this, but I can take it. He can still easily draw this. Not easily, but he definitely still can, because this pawn is incredibly weak. My king to win this pawn will be in the center of the board. He can do something like this. Here, here, here. I think this kind of like asks for this trade, and then I'm in a pawn and king and pawn endgame, but I'm up a pawn. He can also slide in the middle with this check, but then I have a passed pawn. Take here. We do this. Now I have a passed pawn. He's probably got a fair bit of checks that he can get. I think we're going to step over. We step back. We can push the pawn now. And look how much time we have accumulated. We step back. The pawn is defended. Checks are somewhat defended. Queen trade. He hangs the queen. Tragic with check. That was a serious game of chess. Essentially what we did there was we played on the opponent's weakness, and I didn't despair. When I made that fatal blunder against another player, I would easily lose, but I was 100 rating points higher, so I knew if I just kept the game going on and we just kept doing things, if I make a blunder, he's bound to make a blunder. Although that game was completely lost. Absolutely, I had like a -8 or 9 position. And then he just tried to get fancy 2 different times. Don't get fancy. When you're winning, you don't have to get fancy. You have to get fancy when you're losing. So I think my accuracy for that game was probably like pretty low. So probably like 83%. We're going to go check it with the computer, and I will see you over there. And here we are in the analysis, and I don't necessarily know what to think of that game. I mean, I came out the victor, but he definitely could have pressed harder. And so I can tell you the way that I was able to win that game was I made a blunder from a winning position. So instead of going from like a equal 0-0 position to like -6, I went from a +3.5 to a -3. And if it's -3, there's still some hope. There's still some hope. And so the reason for that was his king was pretty naked, and my pieces were on good squares, and my king was generally safer than his. And so, I mean, he still should have definitely punished me. And I had 1 inaccuracy that literally didn't matter, 1 mistake that also didn't matter, and then I had 3 blunders that very much did matter. And so one of them, if we scoot a little further down and take a gander at this chart, we can obviously see what happened here when I hung my rook with check for literally no reason. Don't know how I didn't see that, but it is what it is. Chess is hard. And so that was one of my blunders. Another one of them was a crazy computer line that neither of us were really going to see. And our opponent here, 79% accurate, 3 blunders, 3 mistakes, 6 inaccuracies. I'm so sorry to our opponent for him losing that game, but let's go ahead and fly through this. And so I mentioned that in this position you're supposed to take, they take, and then you bring the knight. That's not actually what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just bring the knight. And then if they take, you take back with the knight. Okay, I didn't know that. I've just played this so many times, and it's worked out generally okay. Like this game, it worked out generally okay, but it gives you an absolutely equal position after like 4 moves, and so that is not what you want in chess. You wanna maintain, you know, your little advantage you start with as white. And so we go ahead, we get the pieces developed. This sacrifice, I checked it with the computer, it does not work. So all of these moves, everything's good. Everything's good. Best move, putting the knight in the middle. This little trade, taking with the queen, was correct. Castling opposite was a minor inaccuracy, but I did it for the sake of the video. And we got an attacking game where our opponent, he definitely got the pressure put on him, and then I blundered it away. But we have an opposite side castling game. I immediately push this pawn. He takes here, and this was his blunder and my blunder. The reason for this, if I take with the bishop, this fork becomes an idea. So immediately, something like this can happen, where I need to like scoot back and defend this. It's just not super great. So what happened in the game? But if I take with the pawn, if he comes here, we just trade, and I'm up a pawn. Cool. If he goes over here, we can simply just take this, and his knight is kind of not in a good square. He can't really like get back into the game easily, other than taking my bishop. And then if he goes here, we can also still just take, because this fork does not exist because my bishop is defending my f2 pawn. And so that is what we both missed. And so I can go into further lines, but there was even like a capture, a queen sacrifice, and then bringing in the rook all the way down here to get the checkmate. Neither of us saw that. It was a crazy computer line. So we keep going. He takes with the queen. I didn't see that coming. And then here's where my advantage starts. I'm supposed to just kind of not care about this pawn because I can push my rook. If he does take, then this fork would exist. I guess it's still called a fork when it's like this. So that would have existed. So I could have tactically defended this pawn and prepped for the attack. And this would still threaten this same exact thing over here. Don't see it, so I push the pawn. We defend the pawn simply. We go ahead and we push forward. He scoots back. I scoot over. He pushes the pawn. I push this forward. And this is where I just completely blundered everything away. What I was looking for in this position was a checkmate. Yes, this would have worked, and what I calculated did generally make sense. However, it's defended by the queen. So what I did didn't make any sense. And I was really looking for a checkmate in this position, but it doesn't really exist because he can bring the knight back and defend this file, and then his king slips out this way, no matter what I go for. So we go ahead and we blunder the rook. It's awesome. And so if you see, I went from a plus 3.5 to a minus 3.5. So it's not the end of the world. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. We give some checks. We're trying to set up some tricky traps. We're going for something like this. His knight can still block, but it's better than nothing. He scoots over. We attack the queen, and he makes a blunder. He's still winning, but he does make a blunder because I get to give this check. He has to do something, or else I'm just going to take you. And so now he's down the exchange. Immediately after this blunder, he makes another blunder where the best move is to just step over. What happens then? He takes, and I ignore it, but I'm still going to win because I'm going to... I can get in and win the rook at some point. I think that's what the idea was. I'm supposed to just let him grab it, whatever. I could have gone for a crazy attack. But you know what? How is this a blunder? This counts as a blunder. Defending my knight with check. So I guess he just goes to an equal position. I was supposed to just scoot over. He takes the knight. I attack the queen. Say the queen goes back. We just get in. We just get in with a lot of checks. And I win the rook. So I was supposed to see that. I did see this general idea, but not in this position. I saw that this rook is over here undefended, so a back rank check would basically win the rook. I saw it at some point, but I didn't go for it. Can you really blame me, though? Making a move like this, I mean, it just looks natural. I had 1 minute on the clock. But now we have a completely even position. We go for this check. Correctly, I keep the queens on the board because it's completely even now, but I'm playing on my opponent's weakness. And so I'm really going for continuing the game, just making the game continue at an equal position and hoping for him to blunder. So we solidify our center, we push this pawn, we have exactly a mirroring pawn structure over here. We take, we get the rooks off, he gives a check, we scoot forward, and we're kind of straying away, but everything we do is still a draw. And so I'm literally just making moves because I had 15 seconds. So sometimes you just got to make a couple moves that keep the position like more or less similar. It doesn't change things too much. So here, he gets a passed pawn, but it's alone. And so I'm going to bring my king, and I'm going to take it. And so we take, he takes, I take, and get a passed pawn. The reason that it's still a draw here is just say this position here. Instead of even trying to defend this, he can just better situate his queen to start attacking me. So like going here, and when I take, whatever I take with, you just start giving checks. So what a lot of people do in an endgame like this is I take, and then you take my queen and I take back. You literally don't have to do that. You just accept the pawn is gone, and you keep the queen or the rook on the board. And so I couldn't tell you how many games I win because it's this situation, and I take, and they take back. And it's like, bro, for what? For why? Why did you do that? It was a bad move. So either way, we move forward. Now I have a passed pawn. It's still a draw because with perfect play, he can check me into oblivion. And so, and I will need to maintain defense of his pawn. And I know that it's probably still a draw in this position, but if we just keep the game going on, he's got 14 seconds, I've got 13 seconds. It's only right here. It's only zeros with perfect play, and there's no way that either of us are playing perfect with 15 seconds on the clock. We scoot around a little bit, and here we go. Not too much further away. He gets a blunder. He makes a blunder, and you got to be careful. The queens can do a lot of checks from a lot of things, so they're hard to see all of the possible moves and variations. The queens are so difficult, but essentially, you don't want to allow a queen trade like this. I mean, I saw it in a matter of 4 seconds, and even if the best move he takes, I was going to take with my king with pretty much the simple idea of, I mean, if he pushes, I can just take, and then I have 2 passed pawns, and I win every time. If what I thought he would do is step away, I step in, and then he's basically stuck with opposition here, where I can stay touching the pawn. He goes for this one. He's going to win a pawn, but I'm going to win both of these ones, and I'm just going to win this endgame. And so, not the cleanest, not the most this straightforward win, but we did get the win. He was rated 100 points lower than us, so can't really blame our opponent there. I think that was enough of your time. Thank you so much if you've made it this far in this video. If you learned anything or you simply enjoy watching me play these games, please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm at like 460 now, and so you guys are literally the best. Thank you so much. Leave a comment if I missed some stuff. I'm sure I did. Thank you so much. I love you. Get out of here.